All right, folks, let's go back to my panel. Kim Brown, host of DMV Spotlight on DC's 1073. Lenny McAllister, host of Night Talk, Get to the Point, and Dr. Avis Jones-Deweever, transformation strategist and president and CEO of Insight Unlimited. All right, folks, so yesterday I talked about this whack show on VH1, Sorority Sisters. And so I mentioned a number of companies that decided to cancel their ads. Of course, CarMax canceled. Crayola canceled. Hallmark also canceled. Yesterday, I got a call from Coca-Cola. They pulled their ads. Honda's pulled their ads. Cricket has pulled their ads. I believe, and this is just what I believe, we've seen all these ratchet shows. We've seen ratchet reality. But I believe that all of the movement around I Can't Breathe, Hands Up, Don't Shoot, Black Lives Matter has reinvigorated a generation to say, when we see something that's frankly an injustice, we have the power to shut it down. Because you didn't see the same reaction to these other shows out there. Real Housewives of Atlanta, all those crappy love and hip-hop shows that you see to this show right here.
I agree.
Well, I'm sorry, Lenny. Well, that's my question, though. I'm confused why people are now offended at this type of content and these type of shows in the form of sorority sisters, when the love and hip-hop franchise is equally as offensive, makes our people, specifically black women, look very bad on television. So I'm not quite understanding why the furor over sorority sisters and why we haven't seen this prior.
Because people are awake. And that's what
But when did they wake up?
Well,
when the show debuted?
Well, the better question is, does it matter when they woke up? If they're awake, now we start seeing change. Now we start seeing power. Now we start seeing things being actualized in a plan with a level of long-term perspective versus what we've been seeing previously, which is a lot of reactionary measures.
Is it really that, Lenny? Because if people are tuning out of sorority sisters, if they're watching Love and Hip Hop on Monday nights, what's the difference?
No, but Avis, here's the deal, though, to Kim's point. If sorority sisters gets taken down, I think what's going to happen is, all right, who's next?
Yeah, I think it's time for the dominoes to drop. And though I do believe that we saw increased furor over sorority sisters, no doubt, there has been a very vocal group of individuals who have for a long time, including myself, criticized a lot of these shows.
And I've been leaning on that one too.
Yeah, so it's not new, but we are seeing more traction. And I think you have hit on a point here. Now that we're seeing what's happened in Ferguson, now that we're seeing what's happened in New York, now we're seeing what's happened all across this country, there is a new sense of efficacy that we can really get things done. And I'm loving it.
And they're leveraging social media now. They realize, I mean, think about it. Trayvon Martin, that whole situation was supposed to be swept underneath the rug in 2012. But because of Twitter and Black Twitter, it now all of a sudden caught attention, and here we are 2 years later from there. So now people realize that we can use social media to mobilize. Then we can get in the streets, and then we can impact the economy to make substantive change.
But to play devil's advocate here, guys, I mean, you know, we again, these shows have not, these aren't new shows. This content, the way that we are being depicted also is not new. But at the same time, like, are we going to see people turn it off? Because the reason these shows are so popular is because people are watching them.
But Kim, the issue here is not the question of will people turn it off. Bottom line is, ain't no money on those shows.
They won't be there.
Shows won't be there. And so the folks don't have to worry about turning it off because we're going to turn it off as well. But here's something that's critically important. Remember back in the day, you had all these trash talk shows?
Like what?
Sally Jesse Raphael.
Oh, yes.
You had all those shows.
Jenny
a whole bunch of Jenny Jones, all of them. There was a single dentist in Fort Worth who said, I'm sick of trash television talk shows. One guy. And that dentist began to write letters to all of these talk shows. They ignored him. He began to write letters to their distributors and networks. They ignored him. So then a few friends, his neighbors, that he was telling them, they said, it's a good idea. So they began to write. Then other people began to write. All of a sudden, they said, you know what? We're going to target the advertisers. All of a sudden, what started with one Fort Worth dentist led to a national movement of people who said we're sick of trash television talk shows. And what happened? They began to drop like flies, one by one by one. And who was left? Oprah was left, Phil Donahue was left, and granted Springer was left, but there were a ton of shows because of one guy. I think in this case, when people see advertisers begin to drop out, there's no doubt in my mind sorority sisters is going to get taken off the air. Folks will be empowered by that and begin to say, all right, you disrespect us again, here's what's next. I think that's what's going to happen here.
And I agree. And part of what's going on, too, is all these things going on now as far as the awareness happened after Trayvon Martin, after Eric Gardner, after Leon Ford Jr., all these things where they've seen empowerment. So now they're saying, wow, we can bring attention
Raise
to this.
Consciousness
and then they're reevaluating the situation and saying, oh, and by the way, you need to switch this. We need to see better images of ourselves in Hollywood, on television, et cetera. And if we don't see this, you saw those people that were downtown shutting down the streets the other day, we're going to do that times 10.
Well, trust me, I hope that happens. But I also recall, letter writing campaigns about The Simpsons and Married with Children and NWA and all these things that eventually really got made more popular because of the opposition against them. Don't get me wrong. I hope that the boycott takes hold because I can't stand this type of programming, but I'm just not expecting it because I see people on Twitter who I respect their political views and this, that, and the third, but when Love and Hip Hop is on, they start hashtagging and they start tweeting the whole thing. It's so popular amongst black women, I'm just not sure that it's going to be enough to get it off the air.
But the thing is, it's called raising consciousness.
True.
And I think, and also, the last thing any advertiser wants is to be associated with a brand that people are saying, if you're near them, I'm not dealing with you. I'm going to shut you down. And I think that's the difference there. Yeah. And so, yeah, we'll certainly see. But I certainly hope by when episode 3, when this thing's supposed to air, it's already gone.
Let's hope so.
That's right. So keep putting the pressure, because I can't stand ignorant reality shows that, again, constantly degrades black women. And understand this, according to the Nielsen study, black consumers, black women watch television more than any other group in the country. And that's why you have all of these networks who are trying to go after the black female viewer because of that particular report. Folks, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Coming up, Rosario Dawson talks to me.